Root of Nightmares weapons. Let's get it. The weapons in this set all look aesthetically amazing. They've got this dinosaur theming with some animated glows as you shoot them. I love it. And thankfully, the utility of these weapons match their visual appeal, as a lot of them can each be considered best in class. And this whole set is craftable as well, as long as you can obtain the 5 red borders needed, of course. But if you are looking for a challenge and a nice reward to match, you'll want to try to run the master difficulty as often as possible. Master mode will drop the adept versions of these weapons, which will soon be able to be enhanced to have the enhanced traits. That's going to be a process that's later down the road in like a mid-season patch. Not out yet, but master mode is awesome, so collect these weapons if you can. But adepts get better stats and also have access to the adept weapon mods, which are just objectively stronger versions of the standard weapon mods. I've been saving almost all of my spoils of conquest to be able to spam that chest at the end of the master raid, so hopefully I'll be able to get the exact rolls I'm looking for on all of these adept weapons. But if you don't want to run master, if you're not into that, don't worry, the crafted versions are still incredibly good, and you should absolutely be running this raid as often as possible. So to kind of kick off this video, we'll start off with the origin trait that's found on every one of these weapons. Harmonic Resonance. This origin trait really benefits if you have more of these weapons equipped, but don't feel like you have to do this for all of these weapons to be good. These weapons are all great when used, even if you only have one of them equipped. The origin trait reads like this. Equipping multiple Root of Nightmares weapons grants increased handling, reload speed, as well as increased damage against tormentors, Lucent Hive, and enemy players while in their super. So the increased handling and reload speed is okay in PvE content. It's really good in PvP, obviously. Free extra stats are always welcome, and again, a lot of these weapons are really good, so feel free to double or even triple stack these weapons in your loadout if you're really wanting those extra stats. For the boosted damage against Tormentors, Lucent Hive, and Guardians and their super, it appears that you'll get a little over 3% boosted damage for having 2 of these weapons equipped, and around 10% boosted damage for having 3 equipped. It's nice, but it's pretty specific just for a 10% boost to those weapons. I'm not gonna like play into this at all. So this is definitely not super overpowered. So now that we understand the origin trait, I wanted to cover the one unique trait that each one of these weapons can roll with. Paracausal Affinity. This is an interesting one. You're basically rewarded 6 seconds of boosted damage to that weapon when you get kills with anything that matches that weapon's alignment. Alignment meaning light or dark. So Void, Arc, Solar is light, Stasis, Strand, dark. So if you've got Paracausal Affinity on Rufus's Fury, which would be considered dark because it's a strand weapon, and you get kill from any source that is also of dark alignment, it could be weapons, grenades, melees, whatever, then your Rufus's Fury would get those 6 seconds of 20% boosted damage. It's an alright trait, but if they extended that 6 seconds just a little bit, maybe even to like 8 or 9 seconds, or just up the damage a little bit, I think I'd be trying to use it a little bit more. Just know that it's an option on every one of these weapons, but I'm not always going to recommend it. Okay, speaking of Rufus's Fury, it's the first weapon on our list, and it really is best in class in my opinion. The only other strand auto rifle in the entire game right now is Perpetualis, and Rufus's Fury is for sure much better with the trait options that it gets. When you get this weapon, it's actually difficult to get a bad roll since there are just so many really good trait combos. And before I move on, I know Perpetualis is an adaptive frame and Rufus's is a rapid fire, so they aren't perfectly comparable, but they are both strand auto rifles. There's only 2. So with Rufus's Fury, you can make a great PvE and PvP roll. There's a lot going on here. So let's start with PvE. For the barrel, I'll be going with Arrowhead Break to help with that 56 recoil direction. That's kind of low. It'll bring it up to 86 and will also help with handling. And for the magazine, I'm going with Ricochet rounds to give it more range and stability. The left column trait, we've got some options, like I said. I think the number one pick here is for sure Reconstruction, which may or may not be a reoccurring theme within this video. I really like Reconstruction. It's going to passively reload the magazine for you up to double the original magazine size, which is going to end up being over 100 rounds in an auto rifle. Reconstruction is just so good. It's never a bad idea to have on any weapon that has it in its trait pool. You could also go with rewind rounds, but you have to let the magazine go down to 0 to get any benefits from it, so it takes a bit of gameplay adjustment to make it worth it. In my opinion, it's not worth it, but either way, these both will pair very nicely with Hatchling, another top tier trait from this season. Being that it is an auto-firing weapon, getting headshots over time will just happen constantly, and with Hatchling, each headshot will be summoning Threadlings to seek out other enemies to do more damage for you. Other combos that you could do here are Reconstruction or Rewind rounds with Target Lock, which will greatly benefit from some awesome boosted damage. Demolitionist and Hatchling is another good role that I want to try out. Demo will help you get back your grenade as you get kills, and throwing your grenade will reload your weapon. And that Paracausal Affinity trait actually seems like it would be pretty good here. Being able to automatically boost its own damage sounds pretty cool. For PvP in the left column, you've got Perpetual Motion or Moving Target. I mean, theoretically, you could go with any of the left column traits, just maybe not Pugilist or Thresh. As for the right column, Tap the Trigger is really good for auto rifles, so that's probably your best bet. Stability or range Masterworks will be the best here, but yeah, this auto rifle is nasty, as Aztecross would say. Mykel's Reverence is a rapid fire frame strand sidearm. I've used this thing quite a bit, and it just isn't my favorite, maybe because I'm not the biggest sidearm guy. I want to like this weapon, but I just don't. But sidearms are an anti-barrier weapon for Season 20, so it does have some utility. My perfect version of this weapon will have good stability, being a auto-firing sidearm. It just makes it that much easier to hit targets with its short range. Fluted barrel and ricochet rounds will be the barrel and mag that I go for here. And as for the traits, I really only seeing this being viable in PvE, so I'm not even going to be going for a PvP role. With the Immortal SMG and even Rufus's Fury in the kinetic slot, along with many other weapons, it's tough to recommend using this in Crucible. But for PvE, the ideal trait combo is going to be Rewind Rounds and Hatchling. Yep, Hatchling, pretty much the recommended trait on any weapon that can have it. Its synergy within the Strand subclass is great, and it's just like, why wouldn't you use it? It's like passing up on Incandescent or Volt Shot on like any primary or energy weapon. There's just no reason not to use it. So for the Masterwork, I'll be going with Stability. I'll try to get as close to max as possible, but yeah, for Mykel's Reverence, I'll probably just be using this if I need a Strand weapon to cover barrier champs. Next, we have Nessa's Oblation, which is the Pinpoint Void Slug Shotgun, and I can't get this. I run 9 of these raids and I cannot get this to drop, so enjoy the Rufus's Fury gameplay, but this weapon seems pretty awesome, so let's get into it. For the stats, I think I want to push range as much as possible here. I've got a max range heritage that I really like using, so having a Void version with Void synergy is something that I'm really excited to get my hands on. If you go full bore and accurized rounds here, it'll push the range up to 98, which if you have the crafted version at level 20 with enhanced traits, or just the adept version, that number will go up to 100, so max range. As I mentioned, we've got a couple options here. I have to try the Repulsor Brace and Destabilizing Rounds combo here. It's just too good to pass up on. Repulsor Brace will grant you Void overshields as you get killed on Void debuffed enemies, and Destabilizing Rounds will cause enemies that you kill to become volatile. So with how easy it is to activate Volatile, along with the security of knowing that you've got overshields, makes this a great offensive and defensive weapon. If you don't want to go all in on Void synergy though, you've got so many other options that are also great. In the left column, you could go with Demolitionist for really easy grenade energy. Enhanced Demolitionist will regenerate 24% of your grenade per kill. So 4 kills and you've got your grenade back already. Or if you just want more ammo, you could go with Reconstruction or Envious Assassin. I do think that Reconstruction obviously is better here, but go with what you want. In the right column, you've got Focused Fury for if slugs become DPS meta ever again. I don't know if that'll happen, but it's still really good even now. Paracausal Affinity might be a good choice here because of how easy it is to get Void ability kills. You could have this procced really easily. And if you like slugs in PvP, the left column doesn't have too many meta choices, but maybe Dragonfly could be interesting, I don't know. And for the right column, I'd probably roll with Opening Shot or Vorpal Weapon. And to push that range to get the max 100, get a range masterwork on it, and you will be set. The second energy weapon we have in Root of Nightmares is Acasia's Dejection. And when I saw another solar trace rifle, I immediately thought, why would I use this over my retrace path from Dares of Eternity? Turns out the power creep is real, and the solar trace is straight up better than retrace path with the trait options that it gets. So I really like max stability on trace rifles, and thankfully we can do this here. Corkscrew rifling and particle repeater will really help the stability and range, so get those if you can. And the god roll trait combo here has to be Reconstruction and Incandescent. The mag here will jump to 196 rounds at max Reconstruction, and as long as you stop firing every now and then, it will continuously reload itself. This can easily be done by just swapping to your kinetic or heavy weapon. Obviously, Incandescent is great, and with how many rounds there are in the magazine, it's going to be so easy to proc with tons of scorch damage and ignitions, especially while using a solar subclass. And this is also my recommendation here. You want to make sure that you're enhancing your scorches through incandescent by utilizing the solar fragments. It will really boost the power of this weapon. And as usual, if you want to go with rewind rounds instead of reconstruction, do that. It's just a personal preference thing. To finish up this weapon, go with stability in the masterwork slot to get it to 100. Overall, solid weapon, and it's definitely going to start digging into my Callus mini tool usage when I'm running solar. That's pretty much all I've been using for the last 8 months. Moving on to the heavy slot now, we've got the Koraxis Distress Rapid Fire Strand Grenade Launcher. This is the only strand heavy GL in the game right now, so it's definitely worth it to at least snag one of them for your arsenal. Go with volatile launch for the barrel and spike grenades for the mag. Spike grenades will bump up the overall damage by just a bit with the increased impact damage that they will do to targets. As for the trait roll, the one combo that I was really excited to test out I don't think works. It's Chain Reaction and Hatchling. There is a cooldown on Threadling spawns, so my initial thought here was that Chain Reaction explosions you get from killing enemies would just proc tons of Threadlings everywhere, but unfortunately that doesn't look to be the case. I haven't tested it yet, so I can't say it for sure, but I don't believe it works. So the next option for me then is Reconstruction and Hatchling. Obviously, Reconstruction will continuously reload the mag up to double, which will get it to 10 at max capacity. Getting all 10 shots off will be pretty decent burst damage, but if we had access to something like Target Lock in the right column, I would probably go that direction. But if you just want some extra damage, this is another weapon where you could try that Paracausal Affinity trait. Just get some Strand or Stasis kills, then you'll get that 6 seconds of boosted damage to this weapon. Definitely go Blast Radius for the Masterwork here to help make it a bit easier to get kills to spawn in those Threadlings. Overall, honestly, not the most exciting grenade launcher, but again, this is the only strand GL in the game right now. The last legendary weapon in the Root of Nightmares raid is Briar's Contempt. It's an aggressive frame solar linear fusion rifle. So I know what you might be thinking. I've got my crafted 4th times the charm bait and switch Cataclysmic. Why would I ever want to switch to another solar LFR? Well, Briar's Contempt is actually a really solid contender to Cataclysmic, which has been the king of LFRs for the last year. So I obviously don't have my Briar's Contempt yet, but I do believe at the end of the day, the DPS will be pretty close. It's just that the benefit to Briar's is that you don't have to swap to each weapon to proc bait and switch like you do with Cataclysmic. You can just use Briar's. Plus, it gets access to an amazing trait combo. But first, go with Arrowhead Break and Accelerated Coils for the barrel and mag. For LFRs, these really don't matter too much, but this is what I'm going with. So as for that awesome trait combo, Reconstruction and Focus Fury is the only option you want to go for here. You'll get 12 rounds in the mag at max Reconstruction, which is huge for an LFR, and it's 2 more bullets than Cataclysmic gets if both 4th times the charms are procced. The only drawback that I can think of is, of course, it shoots a 3-round burst, so you've really got to land all of your shots. It is for sure more difficult than a standard LFR, but on targets like Oryx that have the hitbox of the moon, I think Briar's the play. For your masterwork, definitely go with charge time for your DPS, always a good choice for linears. Well, unless we see some changes to traits in the future, or maybe some other crazy strats are found out with certain trait options that I didn't think of, this is what I'm going to be going with for all of these weapons. I really hope this helped you out, and I do hope that you're able to get some Root of Nightmares clears in. As always, everyone is welcome to the Discord. Join in if you're looking for a solid community that runs Root of Nightmares, and I will see you all in the next video.